our YouTube page actually has a bunch of the same stuff we're going to talk about. So I have a video on there that breaks down comp. If you got a question about, how to go through the FFL Genesis site, there's a video on there, just all kinds of stuff. So whatever you're looking for, like I know there's a lot of people trying to progress into IULs for whatever reason, which is fine. So we had our local IUL expert, Gregory Pitts, go through a presentation. It's on there. So those kind of things. Just if you're out there, no big deal, because we didn't put it out there to be popular. We put it out there for you guys to have trainings and stuff like that. If you have an insomnia one night and you're thinking about something, that's why it's there. So we're going to go over comp, then we're going to go over a comp breakdown. And then I usually do 3 or 4 different things. And then as we're going through this, just ask me whatever questions you want, and then we can kind of swing back into those things. So this is strictly for you guys. It's to go through this as you guys see fit. We're going to go over the term and the final expense, if you will, grids. Show you guys how to maneuver through those. And then any open questions you guys have. I try to keep these to an hour. Sometimes they go over, but if you guys got what you need, there's no reason for you to stay on. This is strictly for you. All right. So let's go ahead and start with the site. And again, guys, there are no stupid questions on here. If you got any questions at all, please stop me, tell me to back up, rewind, whatever the case is, because this is for you. So FFL Genesis, this is our team website. This is not a consumer site. This is strictly for agents to go out here. And what we tried to accomplish here is putting everything all in one place. So you know where to go, from printing off your stuff to do your home suitability, your credibility sheet, everything. So I'm going to scroll up the page, and there's training content out here. We try to update these, but some of these videos are really good, especially new people starting. Some of them we leave. We try to update these, but these are great videos. What we trained on yesterday was the LIFE acronym. That video should be out on YouTube later today. But we trained on the LIFE acronym, which I'll get into at another time, and then the in-home presentation. So now that we have our office here in St. Louis, I'm going to be doing a recording with someone, just doing a video and all that kind of stuff with my in-home is and how I do it. We had a small training here yesterday in St. Louis, and we had 3 or 4 people there, and they got a lot out of it. Matter of fact, we were done in an hour, and they asked for more training, so we trained for almost 2 hours yesterday, which is great. That lets me know we're putting good content out there. So just some other things out here, minor stuff. So we'll go to the quoting tools, because this is pretty important. So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so the top center of the screen under Genesis quoting tools, and let me take a step back. I know most websites have, where you can click the little hamburger button, and it, gives you the option to go to quoting tools, gives you the option to go to leads, gives you the option to go to all these places. We purposely built the site where you had to scroll through, because I can't tell you how many times people have scrolled through this stuff when they were like, oh, I was looking on the website in X, and I would have never seen that if I didn't go through, didn't have to scroll through. So I just took that hamburger button off to make you guys scroll through, because it's going to help you educate yourself. Now, 2 things, and this is huge. FFL-Go. Now, you can create, favorites and all that kind of stuff if you want to, but this was created so that you don't. Everything's all in one place. So I'm simply going to click on FFL-Go. And the first time you come out here, it's not going to, your screen's not going to look like this. It's going to be blank, but you're going to have the legend on the left-hand side of the screen. So you're going to simply want to click on carrier, quotes, and info, and then this information comes up. Before we go to that particular tab, you've got training podcast, you've got training videos, you've got scripts for all different types of stuff. So I get questions all the time. Well, what's your texting script look like? Well, I came out here, clicked on texting script, and then made a couple modifications to it. Copied it, pasted it in my notes on my iPad. And if I'm going to text somebody, I just copy and paste, change their name. That's all I do. Not rocket science. And then you can final expense script. So here's a final expense telephone script, all kinds of stuff out here. So it's a great resource for you guys to have at your fingertips at any time. Lead vendors, there's several on here. You guys can take a look at that. Hiring templates, we'll get into it another time. And then email newsletter. This is for FFL USA, which is one of the either number 1 or number 2 largest organization within FFL. highly recommended. Andrew Taylor and his crew, that's where this is. So get you a bunch of good information there, and they don't blast your email a ton. So that's that. Okay, so let's go back into the main portion of what you'll use FFL-Go for, and that is the quotes and info. So please, I'm begging you guys to write what I'm getting ready to tell you, to write these three things down. The first one is Americo. Do not use the quoting tool on FFL Go when you're doing quotes for Americo. Here's why. Do not use this, because the rates are wrong. And unfortunately, the rates are wrong, and they are usually cheaper. Now, I don't know. I haven't gone down some wild goose chase to figure out why. But what you want to use when you're pulling up quotes for Americo is you want to use quote. It's at the top of the screen, quote.americo.com. Okay, quote.americo.com.
And you put that on your quoting tools tab, didn't you, on your site?
Yep, it's right here. FFL Go, and there it is right there on the left-hand side. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah,
So
because I've been using that one.
Awesome. So the reason I put it inside of FFL Go is so that when you're in FFL Go, you don't have to come out. But if you're sitting there with a client and you know, you've talked to them, you've had the conversation with them, and you know that Americo is going to be the way you go based off of their health stuff, then you can just simply click there. That's the reason why we put it inside of FFL Go and out here. Nice catch there, by the way.
Okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. All right. So very simply, guys, I'm going to just show you a very, very, very quick example. Let's say because I'm in Missouri, so I'm going to click Missouri, and then I'm going to click just the CBO 100. I'm going to hit create, and there you go. So there you go. You can get your quotes and all that kind of stuff out here. We'll go over products and that kind of stuff at another time, but that's how you get into here. All right. Couple of little tricks here. So I'll say I'm going to change this to 46. I'm going to leave it male, non-tobacco. We're going to change this to 250,000 if this will cooperate. There we go. And I'm going to hit run. If I'm talking to this gentleman, once the rates come up, I'm talking to him and he says, you know, that's a little much. Let's go 200,000. If you hit new, it's going to blank it out. You're going to have to put all the information back in the state. Not that it takes that long, but the state, the plan, and everything else. If you click design, it's going to keep all of that information in there. The 46-year-old non-tobacco male, 250K. It's going to put all that there. Now I can go back in and change the 200 to 250 to 200. Then I'm going to hit run, and it's simply going to change the rates there. Now, here's another pro tip about this system. I'm telling you straight up, when you do the rates, do them 2 or 3 times because it takes 2 seconds. Run them 2 or 3 times to make sure the rate is the same, because there's been times when you run the 250 or whatever you run the 250, you hit the button, you get the rate. And then when you get into the system to actually put it in the application, it comes up a different rate. So I usually just go design again. I'm going to hit run. So it's 233. I'm going to go design, hit run, 233. I know I'm good. So let me give you an example. I'm going to hit design. I'm going to change this to 180,000. Let's see if it does it. I'm going to hit run. See that? It's at 180, but the rate didn't change. You see, it's still 233.67. So hopefully you guys saw that. That was the rate for the 200,000. So be careful, be very careful of that, because it will get you if you're not paying attention. I don't know who to call. I've tried to reach out to Bobby, one of our reps, but I don't know if we're not big enough for him to get back to or what. I don't know. But that's why we do these kind of trainings, to let you guys know so you don't have these headaches and things that Tim Bilo and I went through when we were doing these getting started. So I'm going to go back to design again. 46-year-old male, non-tobacco, 180,000. I'm going to hit run again. And now you see the rate change to 211.05. I'm going to hit design, run again, 211.05. Okay, I'm confident with that this time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Awesome. These are just some little things when you're in the field that'll speed you up in the house. It doesn't seem like a big deal. And this is it's too much information to go over on Friday, because Friday's more, specific training and all that kind of stuff. So that's huge. Yeah, I can't tell you how big that is. Now, if you wanted to go back and let's say you're working with a husband and wife, you get the husband done quoting, and now you need to, do something for the wife. If I hit new, it's going to take me right back to this screen. So now I can go back in, I can hit Missouri, CBO, create. Let's say he's lucky enough to marry young. She's 40, female, non-tobacco, 180K. They just, for some reason, want to do the same plan. We're going to hit run. And you can see how quickly you can do this. For a 30-year, 142.05, I'm going to hit design, run again. Okay, that's right. Let's say she's the breadwinner. So he's like, you know what? We probably need to have more on her. We're going to go ahead and do 250K on her. I'm going to hit run. 194.38 design, hit it again. Let's see, 194.38. So I'm pretty confident there. And you can go from there. Pretty simple stuff. Any questions? Are we good? So
We're good.
here's awesome. So here's the quotes and all that kind of stuff. You remember, don't want to use this. Now I'm going to flip around on you guys for a second. Number 2, very important. AIG, don't use the quoting tool for AIG. And here's why. These rates have not been updated since 9/14 of 2018. And trust me, these are wrong. So don't use them. Don't even worry about using them.
In FFL Go, don't use it, but you're about to tell us where to.
I'm going to show you where to find it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Don't
perfect.
use it. Yeah.
Okay.
So Americo, don't use the quoting tool on FFL Go for AIG, and don't use it for Americo. So again, you want to go to quotes.americo.com, or you can simply click on the link on our website. And then for AIG, here's what you'll have to do for AIG. Where it says EAP, I'm going to click view, and then I'm going to click the tab, the link for EAP. It's going to open up the EAP. Now I'm hoping this gives me an error so I can show you guys. If you haven't, if this is the first time you've logged into AIG, and once you guys get AIG, you need to go in and do agent registration. Now, here's another little pro tip. Sometimes they give you a agency, what they call a recruiting code, and an agent code. Make sure you're using your agent code. I know the first time, I spent about 10 months ago, and the first time I got set up with them, there's another Corey Williams here at FFL, and our stuff kept getting crossed up, which was a nightmare. But once they got everything figured out, I just went into agent registration, put my agent code in there, not my agency or recruiter code, and everything was fine. So I'm simply going to log in. So it's asking me to, oh, my password's expired. Okay, that's fun. Let's see. I don't know if I have to go to forget password or not. Okay. Let's try this here, guys, for just a second. Let's see if this works. Okay. It looks like it's one short, doesn't it? All right. Sorry, you guys get to see me be hooked on phonics this morning.
It's okay. I do it all the time.
I don't know how I missed that, but let's see. Okay. Can't be the same. Let's see. Let's do, got one. Let's see. Okay, let me write that down. I guess this might be kind of good for you guys to see too. I think it's 6 months. I think it changes. It asks you to change it. Okay. So now my password's been successfully changed. And let's see if it lets me in. Yes, I want to save that. My favorite food is tacos. And yes, I can be bribed. So let's see. I need to write that down. AIG, so I can save that. I highly recommend you guys saving all of your passwords, if you will, all in one place. So let me see this here really quick. So all my agent codes, if you have Android does as well. I'm not sure if you guys are Apple or Android users, not that it matters, but all my codes and stuff are here. So if I'm ever, I have to refresh my cookies on my device or something like that, and it erases my passcodes. All my passcodes are in here for all the carriers. And I just save that in my notes. That way I can refer back to it if I need to. All right. So let's come back out here. And now what you're going to do from a quoting standpoint, this is very simple. AIG is one of the simplest applications you'll do. There's a video on FFL, our FFL Genesis site on YouTube that goes through this. We try to keep the videos at about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. That way you don't get bored with them and everything else, and you can watch them quickly or listen to them while you drive or whatever. So we're going to go gender. We're just going to click male. We're going to go 0101. Now watch this, 1975. Actually, let me change this, 1985. And a red line pops up. And that is because you have to be age 50 to 80 to get AIG. Okay, they must be 50 to 80. You're going to remember this very quickly because unfortunately, you're going to have a lot of people you have to put with AIG. Fortunately, you have AIG to be able to help some of these people that would not be able to get coverage elsewhere. Beautiful thing. So I'm going to change this back.
50 to 80, so they can't be older than 80 either?
No.
Oh,
No,
snap.
after their
Okay.
80th birthday, that's just the parameters of the plan. So after their 80th birthday, they're screwed. But here's the deal. You've got other carriers. You got another carrier called Great Western.
Right.
Yeah, so Great Western, they go 40 to 85. So you still
And they
have
have to be pretty healthy 85-year-olds though, huh?
No. These
No.
AIG and Great Western are guaranteed issue products. So let me give you an extreme. You could have someone with Great Western or AIG. They could have literally just got out of the hospital, and you could write them a policy on the hood of your car out of the hospital, or they could have just gotten a chemo, radiation, dialysis, like whatever. They could have some life-threatening stuff going on right now, and you can still write them.
I'm about to ask a really stupid question, but
No,
there's
stupid questions. Go ahead.
There's a 2-year waiting period on all that, right? They have to live 2 years.
Very good.
Otherwise they get the premium back with 10% or something.
That's exactly right. Yep, you hit it right on the head. So here's the cool part about that. Yeah, no, that's not a stupid question at all. So here's the cool part about that though. You got it exactly right. They'll get their money back, or their beneficiary, excuse me, will get their money back plus 10%. If they die in an accident, they get the full benefit.
Really? So there's a rider on there or do we have to add it?
Nope, it's already on there. And since we're talking about it, I'm going to run through this very quickly. Again, there is a video on Genesis about this, but I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to change the, great question, by the way. So I'm going to change this to 1955, just to make sure we hit the age requirement. And you see now the red line is gone. Okay. I'm going to go, you can go 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. So the coverage starts at $5,000 and it goes up to $25,000 in $1,000 increments. So you can sell someone 16,000, 14,000, 11,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever the case is. All right. So I'm going to click on 25K. Actually, I'm going to click on 20K for a second. 20,000. I'm going to pick my state. So we're going to say Missouri. I'm going to pick Missouri. Okay. And I'm going to hit get quote. Now, the cool part about this system is you can't screw it up. It's not going to allow you to. Now, 2 things. I'm going to take half a step backwards. If you try, I was hoping I would get that error code, but I guess I had to change my passcode. Sometimes with AIG, when you go to log in, the very first AIG app I wrote, and it was the second client I wrote. I actually remember the way, I don't have to share her last name, but Carol. She had breast, brain, and lung cancer. All of them were stage 1.
Oh my gosh. And
she didn't think she'd ever be able to get covered. So when she called, or when I called her and set the appointment, she was like, well, I know you're not going to be able to cover me. And I'm like, I have something for you, but I have to come and see you. And this was, COVID was obviously rampant and stuff like that as well. So I go and see her and everything else. I was there for probably 30, 35 minutes. Took us probably 5 to 10 minutes to do the policy. And it took her another 10, 15 minutes to stop hugging me, which was a great feeling. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. Amazing. Yeah, because a lot of people don't think that they can get coverage once they get sick. You got to think HIV, AIDS, if they've gotten diabetes or something like that before the age of 35, like a lot of people, this is the only option they're going to have is a guaranteed issue carrier. Wow. So again, it sucks that we have to have these carriers, but it's great that we have them because we can be a resource. And unfortunately, I write a lot of AIG. I write a lot of it. So. Crazy. Yeah, it is. It's good and bad, right? So here's the deal. Thanks. So I picked on 20K for this particular person. The 20K comes up. They can pay monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. Okay, so let me give you guys another pro tip. If you have somebody that is, if they have Direct Express is a essentially is a credit card. Okay. Let me see if I can find something here. Direct Express. This is what they look like. Okay. So if somebody has a Direct Express card, there's only 4 carriers that will take Direct Express. So you guys might want to write this down, save it someplace, because you will run into this. Here's why these are the kind of things that will make you more efficient in the home, because what happens is you start talking to this person, you're doing the financial inventory and their suitability. And what you end up finding out is that if they're on Direct Express, the only carriers that will take Direct Express is Transamerica, AIG, Great Western, and Prosperity. I'm going to go over those again. The only carriers that take Direct Express: Transamerica, AIG, Great Western, and Prosperity. Now that's important, because if somebody tells you that they're Social Security disability or they're on Direct Express, those are the only carriers that are going to take them. Now, let me give you guys another little pro tip. On the back of the Direct Express card is an 800 number. Pretty cool, right? You can call in to Comerica, which is the bank that administers this for the government and all that kind of stuff. You can call in, and these accounts, they have account and what do you call it? Routing numbers. So if somebody has Direct Express, it does not eliminate them from the other carriers. Their health might, but how they pay doesn't. So I'm going to slow down for half a second here. You can call the number on the back of the card to get those numbers, obviously, if you're with the client. But I'm telling you, I've done it twice. Holy cow, it was over an hour.
Takes forever. Okay.
It takes forever. And I've done it twice, and it takes forever. Now, I did it.
It's just more efficient to try to get them into Trans, AIG, Great Western, or Prosperity.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So, but if their health is good and they have the income and that kind of stuff, and for whatever reason you have the time and they qualify for a miracle and you want to get the routing and account number, then so be it. But the more efficient way is to put them with one of those 4. I'm beating this to death for a reason. So this makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. You're very welcome.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Awesome. I was just ready to check on you, Brandon. All right. Just soaking it in. Okay. So here's the deal. So if we go, let's say the person says, he or she says, well, I really need to stay at around, I want to get as much coverage as I can. I'm wanting to get cremated. If you've gone through all this stuff and you're like, okay, and they say, I really need to stay around $100, then you can just simply go here and play with the numbers. Well, 20,000 is $200. Let's try 9,000 to see what that gets us. Simply go up there, hit 9,000, hit update quote. And you're going to do that. It takes about 3 or 4 seconds, and it's going to give you the rate. $85.34. All right, let's try 10,000. Update. So you can literally update this right in front of them and pull the rates up. That should be a little bit over 100 or $99 is usually what it ends up being, something weird. All right, let's give it a second here. I love that this is doing this, because sometimes this will do this to you on the field. So you got to, make small talk or whatever the case. Now, I'm glad this happens. This is what I was looking for earlier. Sometimes this happens, okay? And sometimes when you have this error, sometimes when you're logging into the system, it'll say we're having a technical difficulty, blah, blah, blah. There'll be a button that says here. When you click that here button, most of the time it refreshes itself and takes you right back to where you're at. The very first time I wrote this app, it did it. I'm sitting here talking to Carol, and Carolyn was her name. I'm sitting here talking to Carolyn, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh crap. What am I gonna do, right? Yeah. So I just did okay, and look, it went right back to it.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know why it does it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hit 10,000, because you see it still stayed at 9,000. It didn't shift it. I'm gonna hit okay, or hit quote again, and see how it fixed itself. I don't know why it does it. It just does. So when that happens, don't panic. So I'm telling you guys right now, that little thing that you guys just learned, that was worth you getting on here this morning, because I'm telling you, it will happen to you. And if you hadn't gone through that, you're going to be like, oh God, what do I do next? Just hit the button, come back out, hit refresh. You'll be in good shape. So now you see that the 10,000 is now $94.60. So I was about $5 off. But they say they need to stay under $100. There you go. All right. Monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, annual. Most people pay monthly. I'm going to go ahead and hit the button. You guys can see the blue button flipping on the screen, right? See that? Okay. So I'm going to go monthly. I'm going to hit start application. But before I do that, you can see that they stop paying. This particular person stops paying at age 84. And you guys can go around and play around with this application all the way up to the point of putting the banking information in. Pretty simple stuff. But don't get locked in at that age, because it will show you based on, so this age, this premium stop age will change based on how old the person is, how much coverage, and the premium. Because at some point they'll go, well, why would I pay $94 and pay that the rest of my life? If I'm 65 and I live to be 90, then I'm going to pay in more than what it would cost for the insurance. Why would I do that? So that's why they started doing that, where it makes sense for they're always going to be profit for their family. That makes sense,
and
right?
There another green question, but they're still going to be covered past that?
100%. Look,
okay, great.
I'm glad you asked that question. See that down at the note. Coverage continues to age 121.
Wow, that's a nice fine print. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yep, it really is. That's why I love this application, because if you got to think of people, they're very ill. They can't get coverage anyplace else. They get coverage that really starts day one, because if they're not, nobody plans on dying, but if they die in an accident, it's just like any other plan that they have, and it's affordable. And they have a stop. All right. And it's right. All this stuff's right in front of you. So it stops at this particular age at 121. They stop paying at 84. And once they stop paying at age 84, they have a paid up $10,000 policy for their family members. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move through. So I don't want to spend our whole hour doing this, but I want to make sure you guys understand this since we're talking about it. All right. Couple quick things here. You guys can go out and read most of it yourself, but I want to make sure I hit these. Number 3, 50 to 80. So just remember that age 50 to 80 for this product. Okay. The maximum that they can get is 25K. So remember 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, etc., all the way up to 25K. Now, this might not seem like a big deal, but it is when it comes up. Number 5, the primary insured and owner must always be the same at the time of application. So if somebody has a power of attorney, which some people do, if they're in a nursing home or whatever the case is, or a nursing facility, if that's the case, a lot of times the power of attorney will say they need to be the owner. They can't be. They can be the beneficiary, but they cannot be the owner of this policy. So this is just saying that you acknowledge that. You're going to hit continue. And I've got this down so much now, guys, you're not going to read all this stuff to your clients, but you are going to hit the big stuff, right? So this is exactly what you were talking about, Jen. Number 1, death benefit inside the first 2 years. If death occurs from natural causes, the death benefit will be 110% of the actual premium. So what that means, minus any outstanding loans, because you can borrow from a whole life policy. Not going to get too far into that. So they've paid $1,000 in the first year. They pass away, their family's going to get $1,100. All right. Here's what we were talking about just a second. The number 2 orange bullet. If an accidental death occurs, the death benefit will be the face amount of the policy minus any loans. So this person has a $10,000 policy. If he passes away in an accident, his family's going to get the 10 grand. So he buys the policy 30 days from now, he passes away in some type of accident, the family's going to get the 10 grand. Pretty cool. Wow. Yep. Then you have the chronic illness accelerated benefit. So if they cannot do 2 or more of the 6, what's called activities of daily living, which you guys will also hear as ADLs, bathing, dressing themselves, feeding themselves, transferring, all that kind of stuff. If they can't do at least 2 of those, they can access up to 25%. Let me make sure you guys understand this. They can activate up to 25% of the policy's face amount. Okay. So that this particular person would be able to get $2,500 back if they can't do those. So of course, there's forms and everything else that need to be done.
Is that the last living benefit?
You could call it that.
Kind of.
You could. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you could absolutely call it that, because it's a benefit that they're getting from the policy while they're living. So yeah, I never even thought about that for this, but you could absolutely call that a living benefit. So speaking of that, terminal illness, accelerated death benefit. This is all these riders I'm telling you about are automatically included in the plan. They don't cost anything more. If you choose to accelerate your policy's death benefit, this provides an accelerated death benefit of 50% of the basically of the applicant's death benefit minus any outstanding loans. So basically 12 months or less to live, Mr. Smith here could take out $5,000 to do with whatever he wants. But of course, it has to be certified by a physician, just like it would have to be certified by a physician for the chronic illness.
Right.
Okay. We good there?
Yeah, very good.
Cool. All right. So we're going to go continue. This is the last part, which is very simple. You guys can go through this. I'll show you very quickly. Two things. So on the top, towards the top, where you see that orange pencil, if you're talking to Mr. Smith and he says, you know, I just want to stay around $100 a month, but I really like the fact of that $20,000 worth of coverage. I have 2 kids. They can use $10,000 to cremate me and have a service, and then I could at least leave them $5,000 a piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead. Can we make this $20,000? You're going to hit that orange pencil. You're going to click the coverage amount. I'm going to make this $20,000. I'm going to hit update quote, and it's going to change the amount, $207.70.
Wow.
And now we can keep going through the application, and it will actually modify itself throughout the application. Okay. So you guys, this is pretty common sense. No, you're fine. You're fine. This is pretty common sense stuff, guys. Just ask the questions on here. First name, middle name, last name. If they don't have a middle name, that's okay. But this application is a smart app. So if you forget something, it's actually it won't let you go any further. It won't let you finish. There's a date of birth that we put in right in the beginning of the application. So I'm going to say Mike, which his name would obviously be Michael legal, but I'm going to say Mike Smith. And then he's a male. We got his birthday in there already. He's a U.S. citizen. I'm going to leave all this other stuff off of here. You can add 2 beneficiaries. See, so that's a mistake that I made on the application. It's going, you got to put the first one in before you can put the second one in, right? But you can have 2 beneficiaries. If you need more, you have to wait 30 days. And then you get a form from AIG, which I think the forms are on here actually. But you can get a form from AIG, complete the form, add the other beneficiaries on there and send it in. The digital system only allows you to do 2. That's not a huge deal, but it will happen to you. I can assure you of that. There's the premium, $207.70, which just dropped itself into the application. And this is pretty cool. So let's say the person says, you know, I get paid on the 1st and the 15th. So can we make the payment the 16th? This tells you can go all the way up. You can forward this all the way out to the 28th. So it's going to tell you how many days out. So basically 2-3 weeks that they can go out. They say they get paid on the 15th. And they're like, well, can you make it on the 17th every month? That way to make sure that the money's there. I'm going to simply click on the 17th and you can fill in the date. And I always, if they say, can you move the date outside of today? I always let them know, that your coverage is not going to start till the 17th. They're going to pull it out of your account on the 17th of this month and every month moving forward. You understand that? And they go, yes. Once we do that, we're gold. This is what I was talking about earlier. Will the payor and the primary insured be the same? Yes. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Now you see how it changed all this red? It's saying, hey, you didn't fill any of this stuff out. So you cannot screw this application up. And then you just put the banking information in, come down here. Yes, you've talked to them about all the other stuff. And I know we're in this new digital world now where a lot of people are selling virtual, which is great. If you're with the person, you're just going to say e-sign doc here. If you're doing it virtual, you're going to put in the email right here. You're going to put their email address in there. And then when you hit send and you get everything done and you hit submit, it's going to send an email to them with a DocuSign. They're simply going to click on a button, sign with their finger, hit submit, and it's going to connect it back to your application and send it to their home office.
And I'm so glad this is happening because this is what is stopping me from even selling this part right here. Okay. If I hit e-sign, if I'm doing it on a tablet, I can hit e-sign with no email and just have them use their stylus or finger.
Yeah, you want
or
them
my
to
stylus.
Yep.
Okay. But if I'm on my laptop giving them the quote and I'm getting to this point, I can hit email and then I can have them open the email from my iPad, right? That's another way to do it.
It is, but if I'm sitting
but
right
it's not
there,
it's not as efficient.
It's if you're there with them, have them sign right there on your iPad. It might now depends on your device. Some devices will just have them type the name in. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
will work just fine. If you're not with them and you send the email to them, then you're at the mercy of that person going onto their email,
Yeah.
doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. I just try to get it done right there on, on the spot if I can. But if
Okay,
you're doing
so my
virtual,
next
Sure.
question is, like, I love my MacBook, but I'll get an iPad. My iPad actually would work. But it's old.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a new one. But anyway, so when all y'all are doing this, you're doing it on an iPad, but you bought a keyboard to attach to it, right? Like,
yes, but you don't need it. I have one because I'm constantly sending email and Slacks and emailing corporate and all that kind of stuff all day. I just like the keyboard, but it is not necessary because
they
everything
could use my pad and the signature would look like crap, but they could use my pad
Does-
on my MacBook.
It doesn't matter. I wouldn't do all that, honestly. It seriously doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
Okay.
as long as they sign it, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then
Especially if I'm with them in person.
yeah, just do it right then. Don't,
Okay.
if you're with them in person, don't mess around with the email stuff because it'll take too long. And some seniors, if they can't figure out how to do the email thing, and it's amazing, it's just a click of a button. But most seniors, you got to think about this. The
Yeah.
internet and all that other stuff, it's only been around since the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
So if they're in their 60s, 70s, that kind of stuff, they're just, it seems simple, but they're really just getting around to using cell phones properly. You know what I mean? We got our grandfather a cell phone. He was in his late 70s. He took that thing and threw it in the glove box. He didn't want anything to do with it. So, it is what it is. But if you're there with them, please just get the signature right there. They don't care what it looks like as long as they sign it. And they know they signed it. It's not like they're going to complain about it.
Right.
But,
well, and I don't think I stated my question good enough either, because I'm just saying, you're saying I don't need an iPad, or you're saying, yeah, do an iPad, but skip the email portion because it's pointless.
If you're with them, it doesn't matter if you have a laptop or an iPad,
Okay.
they're going to be able to sign right there. As a matter of fact, I wish I could show you, when you get to the signing portion for them, there's going to be a box that they literally can click and it looks like a signature. And they click the button and then click OK. And they're not even actually signing.
Okay, just like a lease for apartment or something.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
perfect.
right. Yeah, where it just, it looks like you're like a signature, but you just hit the button. So it gives you that option. But there are other obviously somebody's going to have to sign every time you do an application, whether you do it virtually or in person. So if you want an iPad, great. That's what I always use. I have a Mac. I love it. I got a Mac desktop. I'm doing this right now on an iPad. I got my MacBook right here. I've got the Apple Watch on, and I'm holding my Apple phone in my hand. So they got me, right?
Yeah,
but
they got me too.
Absolutely. So if you're with them, use that. Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you got a laptop, it's going to be okay. You're going to scroll up with your mouse, hit the button, they're going to hit next, and you'll be good to go.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, cool. So that's that, guys. When you get done and you hit, let's say the person is with you, you're going to hit sign now. You're going to hit submit. It's going to come up on the screen. You're going to click one little button that just basically says everything on there is accurate. And then from there, it's going to pull up the signature stuff. It's common sense when you see it. You'll pull the information up there. And from there, it's going to give you their policy number, which is pretty cool. And if this wasn't recorded, I would show you guys because it literally pulls up all of their stuff. When you go here into your dashboard, it literally pulls everything up. So, but I can do this. Let me go back. Yes. Okay, let me see if I can go back here really quickly. Might have to log out. Yeah, I won't be able to show you guys that without putting people's information up there. But it literally gives you the phone number. It literally gives you their policy number right then and there. And then that's when you leave the policy information for them. Leave it with them. Let them know they're going to get their policy information in the mail in about 10 to 15 days, etc. All right, that's AIG. Any questions?
No, this is
Coolio.
perfect.
Okay, so here's the deal. So we already talked about AIG. We talked about not using their quotes, and we also talked about not using the quote for Americo. You're going to, when you want to use quote.americo.com, which is right here, middle left-hand portion of the screen. That's where you're going to want to go. So let's go back into FFL-Go, which is in the upper center of the screen. All right. If I need customer service or agent support, if I click on the carrier, which this one is AIG, and I click on contacts, it's going to give you all the contacts for that, all the contact information for that specific carrier or company. Okay. If for some strange reason the AIG, your link to AIG is acting weird, you can literally go out here down to the bottom, copy and paste this, put it in your URL, and it'll work. Let's go back and go to American Amicable. There's the 800 number to contact for agents. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out the numbers and have all these numbers saved in your phone, etc. It's all out here. Let's say John Hancock. Same thing. We have an exclusive number with John Hancock. Let's say Americo. We're going to click on Americo. There's the contact and support numbers for Americo. Pretty cool. So let me make sure, because you guys will write a lot of business with Americo. This is very important. If you're going to write more than $250,000 with Americo, it is a quasi simplified issue program. Here's what I mean by that. Everything you're going to do with Americo, you're going to put the information in the system. It's either going to tell you they're approved, or it's going to tell you they're declined, or it's going to give you, which we'll get into this at another date, or it's going to tell you, Milliman, which is the company they use to pull their prescriptions. Okay. If you're going to do more than $250,000, you have to do a mouth swab. You have to go out here, which is super simple. You go out here, you do the saliva training, which is down at the bottom. You're going to go to that website. You're going to complete the training. And then they'll give you the number to call and request the actual, their swabs. So if somebody's going to do more than $250,000, you have to do the mouth swab. You have to send it in to the company, and then it takes a little while. I'd probably tell you, probably takes about a week or two to get that application approved. Okay, all the same process except for that. So I would tell you just to stack applications if you're going to do that. If you're looking for $400,000, I would do $250,000 with Americo, so it's simplified issue. Do the rest with the Mutual of Omaha or John Hancock or something like that. But we'll get to stacking at another time. All right. So I think I have FFL-GO'd you guys to death. But it's very simple. You can't mess it up. They have underwriting guides. There's all kinds of stuff out here where you guys can go and have resources. And all this stuff, of course, has been put on our website as well. All right. So let me erase this. I got so many windows open. Let's get out of here. Okay. So a couple things just so you guys know. Right in the center of the screen, CVS, Aetna. Aetna CVS is now the same company. We are the only IMO in the country that has access to CVS, Aetna as a final expense company. Nobody else has them, and it's surely because of our volume. And just so you guys know, we are the largest IMO in the country for final expense and mortgage protection. The next closest competitor is $100 million away. So if you hear somebody online saying, oh, they're making numbers up and this, that, and the other, there's nobody even close to our size. Some people that matters to, some people it doesn't, but those are the facts. So
did you say in final expense and whole life? What'd you say?
Mortgage protection and final expense. We are the largest IMO in the country.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. So I'm going to show you guys Aetna CVS, and I'm going to show you just one place you want to go, and you guys can go in and play around. You're not going to mess anything up. So Aetna CVS, you're going to log in. Here's another little pro tip. The first time you log in to Aetna CVS, and it's probably going to do it on a laptop as well, the screen will be shifted. It's going to be shifted to the left. I can't tell you it happens all the time, but if it does, you have to call in to Aetna and they'll tell you what to do to fix it on your machine. It's very simple, but you have to do that, just so you know. And it's just enough over where you can't get to anything. So I don't know if it's the configuration of how their site's set up and the electronic devices. I don't know. But very quick, I'm going to show you guys two things on here. And once you come out here, you can play around. You can't hurt any of this stuff. Where you're going to spend the majority of your time, especially when you're getting started, is what they call the Sandbox. So it's under My Tools, and it's where you see it says you can practice using the Sandbox here. I'm going to click on that. Again, you can't mess anything else. You can't mess anything up in the Sandbox, because that's why they call it that. You can go and play around in here and maneuver around the site. So very simply, I'm just going to put in 63123. You can see it's pulling. It automatically knows that's Missouri. I'm going to put the date of birth in, 0101. We'll go 1970. You can see the age already popped in there at 51. Effective date, we're going to say 09/11, which is crazy, 2021. We're going to go male, and non-tobacco, and we're going to hit view product. Now, I did this for a reason. Million products out here. Okay. The only one you need to be concerned with is the fifth one down, I believe, fifth one down, final expense Ascendo. Okay. You're going to click on final expense Ascendo. I hit the plus, and now you can see what comes up on the screen. Okay. And based on the age that you put in, will tell you how much coverage this person can get. So this is a 51-year-old male. You get up to 20,000. But watch this. I'm going to change this to 40. And I'm going to hit, I always start with standard, but at this point, you've already asked the questions and all that kind of stuff about, you know, their height, their weight, their age, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to click on standard. I'm going to click standard, and it gives you all the riders and everything else. So now I'm going to hit quote. When I hit quote, this is a 51-year-old male, $40,000, $157.85. You guys see that on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Brandon, I put you to sleep yet?
No, I'm here.
Perfect. All right. Okay, so the reason I changed that is because Aetna, and I'm going to show you guys this here where you can find it on your own here in a second. Aetna goes up to 40,000. Just be cognizant of that. But here's the deal. The system is so smart. When you come in here, see that? Now they've even adjusted that, because before it wasn't that high. I don't believe it was. I thought it was 40,000. But if you make a mistake, so I'm going to have to go back in and quote that now. See, rate quote service unavailable, try again. What it's telling me is this doesn't do 50,000. Now I'm going to change it back to 40. So I don't know why it said that, but watch this. Oh, must be a problem with it. I'm going to waste too much time with this right now. So I don't want to waste too much time with this right now, because I don't want to get too far into you guys this morning. But I bet if I went out here and refreshed and did all that, it would take me back into the system. So once you get to this point, I don't know if it's going to let me do it or not, but what you're going to do is add to cart. They must be having an issue this morning. Hold on, guys. Let me try something really quick. 75. Update product. Ascendo. Okay. Ascendo. I did pick an applicant. Let's see. It might be telling me this person's too young. Let's go 65. Ascendo. Something's going on with their stuff here. I got all that in there. Okay, there we go. I don't know what's going on with that, but anyway, so we're going to hit there. We're not going to do any riders. We're going to do a quote. Got to do a quote first. Something's going on with their system, you guys. I've never seen it do this, to be honest with you. But here's the deal. Once you get quote, you get the rate come up and you're ready to go to the application. You hit add to cart. And what it does is it takes you to the application, and there'll be bars across the top. So you can't, you literally cannot screw this up. And it's a super simple, super easy application to go through. I don't want to waste too much time if they're having system issues this morning, but excuse me. I'm gonna try this one more time really quick, and I got a few other things I want to show you guys before I let you go. And if you guys need to jump off at any time, just let me know so I'm not talking to myself. Let's go 1975. Effective date is today, or we'll just make it tomorrow, doesn't matter. Female, non-smoker, view products. And you can see once you get proficient at this, you can whip through this pretty quickly. So we're going to go standard. We're going to go quote. It's weird. Sometimes you just have to update the system. $59.50 for 20,000 for that person. We're going to go add to cart. Yeah, this thing's being so weird. So start enrollment. On the right-hand side, you can see monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, annual. You can see that. You can see the rate. So if we go start enrollment, it's going to take you to the application. Okay. So we're going to put in just very quickly, Mike Smith. We got his birthday and all that kind of stuff. Yes, he's a legal resident. Start application. I just want to get you guys to this point here. And then you literally just go through and ask the questions. So if you skip through at the very top where it says plan eligibility, if I try to skip through to benefit and plans, It's going to take me there so I can answer the questions and I can do all that kind of stuff and requote and update and all that. But you can see it's telling me I got a half bubble on the plan eligibility, and it's telling me that information has not been done. So it's a very smart application. Now, here's a pro tip for Aetna. And again, this is the Sandbox, which you can see on the top left-hand side. So you can't mess anything up, and this will not send anything to home office with Aetna. So you can play around with this application from top to bottom, and it's not going to do anything. Okay. So here's the deal. As you're going through this information, doing all this stuff, you're going to get a couple of different things from Aetna. It's going to give you green, which means it's approved. It's going to give you yellow, which means it's going through underwriting. And it's going to give you red, which means it's going to decline. And it's going to tell you that right at the bottom of the screen when you get after the signature and review. Very simple stuff. So it's going to underwrite it right here on the screen. And as you're going through and answering questions, you may have quoted standard, which I always do. I never give somebody the preferred rate because about 10-15% of the people that actually enroll with Aetna get preferred. So that's not a lot for me to give them a preferred rate. If they get it, great. But it will literally change from standard, preferred to modified as you're going through the application and asking questions. So pretty simple process. Again, just go through, here's our website, go on to Aetna. Once you get Aetna, plug yourself in, and again, go into the Sandbox, which is going to be on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going back through it one more time. And then when you're going into the real app, you're just simply going to click on where it says Aetna Quote and Enroll. You click on that, it's going to take you into the screen just like it did from the other example I gave. Any questions about Aetna? Now we're in the real app. And the difference is if you look at the top left-hand portion of the screen, you see how it says Sandbox at the top left? Now the Sandbox is gone. So this is the real app. So make sure you're not in the Sandbox or accidentally, because if you're in the Sandbox, you have to do the whole app again. And yes, people do that. All right. So I'm going to move on here. Get rid of that. We got 1,000 windows open. Okay. So let me go here. Compensation. So I'm going to give you guys a couple really quick examples of compensation here, and then I'm going to walk you through an actual example. So let's just say for conversation's sake, you're at, let's just do 120% because that'll be the example that I'll show you, written example I'll show you here in a second. So very first, where it says FFL contract, I wish we would call that something else because you don't have contracts with FFL. The contract is between FFL and the carriers. That's how we are able to get such high comp. So the HMS term, or excuse me, HMS 125 is now just the term 125. So if you see that, they are one and the same. Don't get freaked out by that. So if somebody helps someone and it's $100 a month, they're going to take your premium. So they're going to take $100 a month times 12. That's $1,200. They're going to take that $1,200 and multiply it by 120%. And that's going to be your comp. And I'm going to give you guys a visual of that here in just a second. All right. But let's just say you're helping somebody with the Eagle Premier, which is Americo's senior program. Even though your comp is 120, with Americo, if you're at 120, they comp you at 115. Does that make sense? Did I lose you guys?
Oh, yes. That makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to say what my comp is. So you're saying it's 5% less.
Correct. And here's why. Here's why, Jen.
Okay.
That's exactly why I do this. Now, again, I go through a full, top to bottom on this on YouTube. I'm not pushing you guys there. I just want you guys to know that that's a resource. Here's why they do that. So you have to understand that each product has to be filed with the state. So if Americo's in all 50 states, they had to apply to sell their Eagle Premier in every state. So let me give you an example just for Missouri. There's certain things that they can and can't do in certain states based on the way the products are written. But also you have to get that they're underwriting certain products. So they understand how many people are going to die, how many people are actually going to keep the product and all that other stuff. That's why they offer a lower rate for some of these other programs. But here's the deal. If you go and thank you for not bringing up what your comp is. But if you go from 120 to 125 based on either your volume or you and your team's volume, now you can see when you go from 120 to 125, you can now see that you're going to be paid 120% as opposed to 115.
Okay.
Perfect. That's why I always do this, because I want people, because then you'll get your comp and you'll be like, wait a minute, this is short. Like, this is not right. And then people are pissed off, and we don't want that.
Right.
That's exactly why we do it. Right.
And this
exactly.
is all
So we're
the
gonna
Americo. This isn't just Eagle Premier. It's everything Americo is going to be 5% less than what you know.
Correct.
What you have.
And that's exactly why I'm showing you this. I'm going to show you something else though here in a second with 2 other carriers, or really 3.
Okay.
But we'll get this done in the next 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So 120%. Now let's go into that right across from that giant blue bar into Mutual of Omaha. So you're at 120. Mutual of Omaha's Term Life Express pays you 120. These are just the contracts are negotiated between Family First and the carriers based off of what tier you're in. Now, let me give you an example. Mutual of Omaha's, what they call Living Promise, if you're at 120, they pay 105. So Americo pays you 10 points more for the exact same product. Now, when you're out there, you're going to lose track of some of this. And that's why we put it on the website, so you can go back, figure out what your comp is, and those kind of things. And I can tell you guys, you'll lose track of, ooh, I should put them with Americo because I'm making 10% more. You're sitting across the table from that person and you're helping them, and Living Promise is the best product for them. You're going to put them with Living Promise, and you ain't going to think anything about that 10%. I'm telling you, especially when you're writing a lot, it's just not a big deal. Yeah. So, but again, we just want to be transparent and make sure you guys understand how your comp works. Because I'm telling you, 95% of agents at any company don't understand it. They just don't. So here's another thing. As you're going across the board, now it's still in Mutual of Omaha, you have the Children's Whole Life, which I think is one of the best whole life programs in the country. It only has 2 questions. It goes through right away. It's very solid. They can increase it when they get older. Like, it's phenomenal. You're at 120. The Children's Whole Life pays 90%. First of all, you don't have to do any work on it, really. And I've never had one come back. So it's very simple. It's very inexpensive. And when you're writing these, I call these really legacy plans, because you're not going to make a whole lot of money. You might make a couple $100 on it, which is what it is, pay for your gas. But at the other part of that, you're actually for helping them protect their children if they ever get diabetes or get sick or whatever the case is. So that's the only one I use for children's whole plans. I just like keeping it simple, and it's a great program. Now, let's go all the way over to the blue for AIG. Now, you might want to take some notes here, because this can get hairy really quick. So you're at 120 contract, but with AIG at a 120 contract, you're going to get paid 60% with AIG. Now, you saw the simplicity of the application a few minutes ago. The other part about that is not only is it a simple application, it's guaranteed issue. You will get more joy out of writing these applications on people than anything else, because these people think they can't get covered. And they're so grateful that you're able to help them. Like, seriously, they want to hug you. They're so thankful, all that other stuff. So you'll get more personal enjoyment out of writing these policies than anything else. But I just want you to be aware, at the 120% mark, you're going to get paid 60%. If you're at 115, it's 55.
So
okay.
Basically, it's you're going to be mad at me because, well, no, you won't. But I'm just writing it's 55% less than what your comp is for this one.
Or
is that right?
Or you could say it this way. Yeah, well, technically, yes. Or you could say it's 60% of what your comp is with AIG. Same thing said, just said a different way.
Okay. I got you.
As you move up, so does your comp, right? So here's the deal. Now, this is what here's what I want to make sure you guys have a clear understanding of, because you'll get paid with AIG and you'll go, what the hell is this? Excuse my French. If you're at the 60% comp, or the 70% comp, or 50 or 45, whatever the case is, they only advance 50% up front, where the rest of the carriers do 75. And the reason I'm telling you this, you're going to write a lot of AIG, and when you get your check, you're going to be like, this is super short. It's not. So they're going to take the dollar amount. So let's say it's $1,000. $1,000 is what your commission is. They're going to give 60% of that. So that's $600. But they advance 50% of that. So your commission, when they pay out, is going to be $300. Here's what's cool about AIG. Because of that, your residual and renewal, because it's a whole life policy, your renewals start in month 7 with AIG. So you're going to start in month 7. You're going to start having renewals come in with AIG, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger based on all the policies that you write.
Nice.
So I look at
Okay.
that as a huge bonus because you don't start receiving residuals in month 10, you start getting them in month 7.
Mhm.
And then it just keeps building. And mine is at a really nice clip right now, which it's great that I was able to help people, but the fact that it's still paying and all those clients are still on the books and I'm now getting a residual now, it's pretty awesome. So
That's
it's like
great.
a win-win-win-win. All right.
Mhm.
So here's another one that I want to show you guys, and this will be the last one because you can see, guys, you can look at your comp and then whatever it is and look
Yeah.
across the board and go from there.
Yeah.
Here's one that I absolutely love because it's very simple, and you're gonna like this, Jen. It's John Hancock. It's the third one over.
Mhm.
They pay you what you write. So if you're at 120, you're at 120. You're at 125, you're at 125. You're at 110, you're at 110. So I helped somebody the other day with a John Hancock, and it was $1,433. So I simply take 1,433 times 120% with a 75% advance, and I pretty much got paid what I wrote, which is pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And you can see Aetna's the same way. Pretty
Nice.
cool.
And
Yep.
John Hancock allows a lot of coverage too.
Yes, they
I mean,
do. Up
depending
to
on who needs it.
in. Yep. That's what we love, John Hancock. And their application is super simple. Little complicated. I shouldn't say complicated. A little cumbersome when you're filling all the stuff out in the beginning. You got to put all your stuff in. You got to put all the client stuff in just to get the quote. But it's doesn't take much to get used to it. Pretty simple. All right. Does that help you guys from a comp standpoint?
Yeah.
Awesome. So this
Oh, yeah.
again is on awesome. So this again is on our Genesis FFL YouTube page. But again, I was like breaking this stuff down for people so they get it. So last two things we're going to cover, and then I'll let you guys go about your Saturday unless you have additional questions, is the term and final expense grid. Okay. So I'm going to click on the term grid first. These work exactly the same, but I'm going to show you where the magic of this is. So instead of you having to call the Velocity in-home helpline or calling Tim or me or whatever the case is, whoever your partner is.
Mm-hmm.
So one you'll run into a lot. So where you're going to run into a lot. No, it's all good. What you're going to run into a lot, guys, is like diabetes, right? So if somebody tells you that you're going through the stuff and somebody tells you they're diabetic, you can come out here, you can go up and you can look at diabetes. So the illnesses are on the left-hand side. The carriers are going to be at the top, and the particular illnesses are going to be inside the white. So let me give you an example. Now, here's another pro tip. If somebody is before the age, if they were diagnosed before 35, they're pretty much screwed. Okay? And here's why. Nobody is going to want to write them because of the complications that diabetes does to your body. Okay? And you can see America diagnosed within the last 6 months, decline. Diagnosed before 35, decline. Diagnosed prescription use insulin, decline. Taking more than 2 oral medications, decline. So before you pick up the phone and call me or call the Velocity in-home helpline, you can help yourself and underwrite right in the home. And you know what I'm saying? Right there. And then save yourself and the client a bunch of time. And here's even bigger than that. We talk to so many new agents that they don't, just gonna call it what it is. They don't listen. And then they make this so much harder on themselves. And they ask the health questions and then they just don't pay attention to them. And then they have somebody that was diagnosed with diabetes when they were 18, 19 years old. Now they're 30. They're wanting to get a life insurance plan put in place. And they try to run them with a miracle. They're going to decline them. Yeah. And they could have very simply just came out here. It takes 2 seconds. So again, quick example. Yeah. Mutual of Omaha, same thing. Diagnosed before age 50, decline. There's no question there. They're decline. Any complications, decline. Yeah. Let's go over to John Hancock.
Where do we pivot to? Moo then?
Well, here's the deal. If the person, so here's where the puzzle piece, here's where the puzzle piece comes into play, right? So you have a 40-year-old, now let's think through this really quickly. You have a 40-year-old person that's taking insulin. They don't qualify for Americo, or do they?
I think they do. They just can't have complications of it, right?
That's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. So if you came out here and looked this up really quick, you don't need to call me. You don't need to call the Velocity helpline or Tim or whoever. It's right here. But here's the deal. If they're 36 and they were diagnosed 6 months ago, Do they qualify for Americo? They don't.
No.
But here's the deal. They do qualify for Mutual of Omaha because they were diagnosed. They don't qualify for Mutual of Omaha either because they were diagnosed before 50.
Okay.
So let's go to AMAM. Controlled with oral medications, diagnosed prior to age 35, declined. But remember, I said they were 36.
Mm-hmm.
So American Amicable will take them as long as they don't smoke and they're not using insulin. So if they're taking an oral medication and they're 36 years old and they have diabetes, AMAM will take them.
Awesome. And that grid shows you all that. So if you have that in the home with you, you're good.
And if you don't have it printed off, it's right here on the website.
Yeah. And
That's
I think on FFL America, they call it a cheat sheet too, which is great.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys
So you
this here really quick too. Yeah,
print it out. It's a lot of pages though, but print it out. Yeah.
Check this out. Where did I put that? Right here, product cheat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
It's all here on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we try to keep it simple. All right, so let me go back here. So we're going to go back to the term grid. Okay, we're going to find COPD. So if somebody's got COPD, don't take you long. You don't need to call anybody for that, right? They're declined across the board. But if you're not sure where to go, you can pick up the phone and call because guess what? Aetna is okay with COPD as long as they don't have a bunch of other complications.
Okay.
So if you run into some things, okay, what am I going to do with this person? Well, you've got, if they're over the age of 40, you've got Great Western. If they're over 50, you have AIG. And then, of course, you have Aetna as well. Now, this is pretty simple, right? Just find the illness and go across the page, see what it tells you. Now, here's a pro tip with this. Always start with the biggest illness first. So this is common sense. If somebody has high blood pressure and they just had a heart attack, the biggest illness there is the heart attack. Heart attack's going to trump high blood pressure, right? So you're going to start with the heart attack information first, because if it says congestive heart failure, well, look at congestive heart failure. It's the second one down. Decline, 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 decline. Then you'll have to say, I'm not sure where to go. You can call the Velocity in-home helpline or call your upline or your partner person and have them walk you through it. Very simple. So this is what we say all the time. This is simple. It might not necessarily be easy, but you're going to find in certain parts of the country where you guys live at, you're going to run into the same illnesses. Here in Missouri, it's a lot of high cholesterol, high blood pressure, cancer, and diabetes. That's what we have a ton of here. So when you start, working with people that are of a certain age, you're going to run into a lot of the same stuff. You'll be able to whip through applications because you're going to have that information based on what you ask them from their health stuff. All right. Now here's where this is what you're going to absolutely love. Keep in mind the term and the whole life grid works exactly the same. Find the illness, go with the biggest illness first, because it might tell you. So let me give you a quick example of that. Heart attack. Okay. Fourth one down on the page. Decline, 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 right? But let's say they had high blood pressure. So if you looked up the high blood pressure first, high blood pressure might tell you that, okay, John Hancock will accept them with controlled high blood pressure. But if they had a heart attack, heart attack is bigger than high blood pressure, right?
Right.
They would accept them with high blood pressure, but they're going to decline them with heart attack. So start with the biggest illness first. Does that make sense? And I'm beating you guys up with that for a reason, because these kind of things, once you do them 2 or 3 times, it'll make you a wizard in the home, because you won't spend as much time going, okay, wait a minute. They have depression, they had a heart attack, they have high blood pressure, and they had gout and fibromyalgia. So I'm not even sure where to start. Start with the biggest illness first. All right. You guys are going to love this. So on the term grid, it's going to be page 9. This has the carriers and the carrier information on it and what products they offer. Can't get any simpler than this.
Yeah. So
again, what we were talking about earlier, simplified issue, you can see right there, third bullet point down, 225K to 400K. And it says saliva test is required from $250,001 up to $400,000. Remember, we were talking about that earlier. So if you look down the page, you can see 400,000, 400,000, 400,000, 400,000. Doesn't take a rocket science for you to figure out what's the max coverage you can get with America. It's 400 grand. But anything over 250,000, they're going to have to do the mouse swap. So I recommend if somebody says, I want 400,000 worth of coverage, just let them know so that you can do simplified issue and nobody has to stick you with the needle, check your blood pressure, pee in a cup, all that stuff. All you have to do, we're going to do 250 with Americo, simplified issue, and we'll do the other 150,000 with Mutual of Omaha and just keep it moving, or John Hancock or whoever. Okay. Pretty simple stuff. So if you come out here and take the time to scroll through this stuff, guys, you'll have it down in no time. Here's Mutual of Omaha, same thing. Exact same stuff here. Here's AMAM. Yep, all this stuff. It's all right here. We try to put it all in one place. John Hancock, Foresters. So if I come back out, and again, you guys can take the time to peruse through this. If I come back out to the site and now I'm going to go final expense, I click on the final expense grid, you can see all the same stuff. So you can clearly see we do more final expense than we do, standard term. And it's the exact same stuff. So and final expense does underwrite a little bit differently. So you just want to make sure you're aware of that. I feel like an auctioneer this morning, but just want to make sure you guys get the stuff.
No, it's cool. So
same thing here. You guys can see the carriers across the top. I'm going to scroll down here for diabetes. And now you can see, because this is final expense, they know they're dealing with an older, a little bit older climate, a little bit more seasoned climate. Now you can see, you don't see the 35, 40 anymore. Now you're seeing 50 pretty much across the board, or most of these boxes say C complications or C below or whatever the case is, because they understand if these people are in their 60s, 70s, that kind of stuff, maybe even into their 80s in some points. A lot of times if they've had diabetes, it's turned into other things. Let me give you a quick example. America allowed, so you're allowed to be a diabetic and they'll take you, says C complications. Well, if you go down below, diabetic complications on the left-hand side, insulin shock, coma, retinopathy, neuropathy, you see all that stuff there. If any of that stuff is within the last 2 years, you have to go guaranteed issue with them, which is a separate product that they have. I'm going to show you this here in just a second. So it works exactly the same. Just read through it very quickly. You're going to see so much of this stuff in your first few weeks that you'll be a master at this in a matter of a couple weeks. So I always tell people, get through your first 50, 100 appointments as quickly as you can, because at that point, you're going to know pretty much everything you'll need to know. All right. So I'm going to scroll down to page, I think it's 12 or 13. Here we go. Page 9 here. So Mutual of Omaha, it's going to straight up tell you, issue age 45 to 85. And it's going to tell you they go from 2,000 to 40,000. Height and weight chart. America. So if they say guaranteed issue, that's what the Eagle guarantee is. You got to be between the ages of 50 and 80. Eagle Premier will go from 50 to 85 if you're a non-smoker, 50 to 80 if you are a smoker. Simplified issue, pretty standard stuff. You can see the amounts there. They start at 2,000 and go to 30,000. The guaranteed issue goes 10. Okay, you guys can read through this stuff. Just want to let you know. But remember, we talked about it earlier. Direct Express, Transamerica, Prosperity, AIG, and Great Western are the carriers that primarily take, the only ones that will take Direct Express. Unless you want to take the time and call in and get the account and routing number, then you can, as long as they're approved, you can get that number. Pretty simple stuff. And here's Aetna, Ascendo, as we talked about. You can see they go up to 50,000, just depends on your age. They do not ask any height and weight, and they are great with clients with COPD, and they go all the way up to age 89.
Wow.
So I got a lady that's 80 that I have to write this afternoon. That's yesterday. I wrote Miss Hudson yesterday, and she's 80 years old. No medications, guys. It's crazy. This lady's 80 with no medication, and her husband's got like 1,000 things going on. So I guess he got it all and she didn't. American Amicable, same thing, Forster. So it's just taking a little time to go through. And then we do this meeting every other Saturday when we go through and answer your questions and do all that. But hopefully this has been, somewhat not boring for you guys, but we want to help you guys get off to a fast start. And kind of get out of your head a little bit and go, I need all the carriers, because you don't. Literally, we've had people come out and write 10, 15, 20,000 with just Prosperity, because that's the carrier that they have right away, and be able to go from there. So rest of the resources are here. The last thing that I will tell you guys, and then I'll let you guys go unless you have additional questions. This is the in-home forms. And I'm going to give you guys a quick example here really quick, but this is the in-home form. And then here is the, and I know there's 1,000 of these things that are out there. Use the one that feels right for you. But this is the form you need to absolutely 100% use these forms. And I can tell by the questions that are asked of me when new agents call, I can tell if they've went through this form or not.
Right,
100%.
right.
It's pretty simple. So here's how it goes.
What is this one? What is that one called again? That's called the
FFL credibility.
The credibility
form.
and the
so
and
here's
then
the credibility,
one...
and I call this the either in-home form or the suitability form is what I call it.
Oh, okay.
Some people call them health forms. I know if I was sitting across from somebody and I was 70 years old, I really don't want to talk about my health. So I just call it suitability because it just kind of sounds important.
That's nice.
I guess.
Yep, I got that in my bag. Yep.
Yeah, sounds a little even nicer. So here's how this goes. I'm sure you guys have seen the video. So we're just going to pretend, Jen, that you're my client. So we've come in, I've knocked on the door, we've come in and we sit down at the kitchen table. I built a little rapport, and now we're going to get everything going. So Jen, as I mentioned, when we set up our time today, I mentioned this process takes about 25 to 30 minutes. If I'm here any longer, it's only because you've asked me to stay. Is that okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to show my license. I'm going to show my license, which I have laminated. I'm in Missouri, and we're obviously bordered to Illinois, so I do cross back and forth over, which again is not a huge deal. So I'm going to show them my Missouri license. I'll even show my driver's license so they know I am a Missouri resident. Matter of fact, if I live down the street from them, I'd say anything 20 minutes, 25 minutes when I'm like, hey, I just live right down the street in South County. And they always go, oh, that's really cool, because I want them to know I'm local, because their phone's getting blown up by all these, people trying to sell over the phone or Zoom and all that, which is great. But I want them to know that I'm local. And guess what? When you do pass, and if you pass before me, myself, or someone on my staff is going to come right back out here, sit at this kitchen table, and make sure your family gets what you're going to put in place today. Now, when I say that, what your family's going to put in place, you're going to put in place today, I'm planting that seed that we're applying for coverage today, right?
Awesome.
So I'm going to say, so Jen, have you recognize any of these carriers?
Yes.
And which one do you recognize?
Mutual of Omaha, the Gerber, very popular. Yep.
Absolutely. So if they're over the age of 40, guys, and again, I'm just doing this to build really quick rapport. If they're over the age of 40, I'll be like, that Mutual of Omaha. You remember that show, Wild Kingdom, that was on NBC? Remember that show? And they'll go, if they're over the age of 40, they're going to go, oh my God, yeah, I remember that show. That was Jack Hanna and all this other stuff. I just remember that show when I was a kid because it was sponsored by Mutual of Omaha. Anybody over the age of probably 40, 45 will know that. And most people I know have always had fond memories of that show. And it kind of gets them a little bit light, right? Because you're getting ready to get into some heavy stuff, asking them about their health and all that. So I'll say that's absolutely fantastic, because I remember that show when I was growing up. I used to love that show, Jack Hanna, blah, 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 blah. And most people, when I talk to most people, that's exactly what they say. Now, the reason I do that is because I want them to feel like I'm doing what everyone else is doing, which is protecting my family. And people like things that are like them. It makes them feel comfortable, right? And if they say John Hancock, I'm going to pretty much say the same thing minus the TV show. That's what most of my clients say is John Hancock, great company, been around for over 100 years. I have a certain percentage of my business with them, blah, 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 blah. If they say Americo, great company, number one in their space of doing mortgage protection and final expense. What I love about Americo is, first of all, they're in Kansas City. That makes people feel really comfortable just being where I'm at. They're in Kansas City. Yeah, they're not that far. They're only a couple hours away. They pay their claims, all that other stuff. Now, let me go back into character. So, Jen, here's the deal. All these carriers, this is just a snapshot. I'm a broker and I'm a field underwriter for you, which means I don't represent any one of these carriers. But here's the deal. All of these carriers are A-rated, which means they're going to pay their claims. They've been vetted by the state of Missouri or whatever state you're in, which means if something happens to that company, the state is going to make sure that your family gets what you're going to put in place today. Does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah.
And I'm nodding at them while I'm saying this stuff, and they always say yes. Now, here's the cool part about this, guys. I don't care if it's a 75-year-old person, a 45-year-old person. I do this exactly the same. So, Jen, what we do when we help our clients is we do mortgage protection. I can cover anywhere from 10% of your mortgage all the way up to 100% and help you pay your home off 5 years sooner. bearing you qualify. We also have life insurance, which is whole life, term, universal, just standard life insurance. So you can either bury yourself or cremate yourself and not be a burden to your family, right? And which is what I do the majority of all day long. And then the final thing is final income planning. And what I mean by that is if you're retired or getting ready to retire, we make sure that you never outlive your income and then it can be passed to your family or loved ones. So why am I here today?
Oh, wow.
And I don't care if it's final expense. I don't care if it's fine. Thank you. I don't care if it's final expense or mortgage, because you don't know. You could be going in there thinking you're just going to do a $10,000 or $15,000 final expense plan, and they go, "Well, we did get started a little late. We're in our 60s, and we just got married last year, and we just bought this $250,000 home, and we're in our late 50s." Well, if they're in their late 50s, they can still get a CBO.
Yeah.
Which means now you think you're going in for a $10,000 or $15,000 final expense. It now just turned into a $200,000 on her and a $200,000 on him, with both of them paying $500 a month premium. Now you've just written $12,000 in one home, right?
Right.
So does that make sense?
Right. And when I'm smarter, you can even turn it into an annuity or something based on what's going on.
And you don't have to be any smarter than you are right now, Jen, because if you ask that question, I'm telling you straight up, if you ask that question to 10 people, 3 of them are going to entertain it. And they're going to go, what is that? I'm going to give you guys, now that we're talking about that, this is just some homework for you guys if you get a chance. FIA. Sean Rosario is the leader, if you will, of the annuities and IUL division here with FFL. Just got his partnership. He just wrote this book, 7 Benefits of FIA. You can find this book everywhere. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to. This is a great site. And basically it's an insight into his book. And you can actually go through, and I've watched all these videos, go through and watch these videos. And they explain deferred comp, tax deferred comp. They explain, the market volatility and all this other stuff, which is very simple stuff. If you watch these videos, you'll have more than enough to go in and talk to somebody about, because what we do, fixed index annuities, are very simple. They're very, very simple. And they're not really a part of the stock market, if you will, like some of the other stuff is that you need a 6 and 63 or even a 7 to do, because it's fixed, tied to the S&P, all that other stuff. So great website, FIAbenefits.com. I think I have this on our website. If not, I'll update it.
FIA benefits.
It just stands for fixed index annuities benefits. That's all that means. So learn about the 7 benefits of fixed index annuities for retirement. So I'll send people this website, some other paper, propaganda, those kind of things. So just wanted you guys to see that really quick. All right, let's go back into character very quickly. And then, yep.
Corey.
So, yes, sir.
Quick question. Do you know the name of the book?
Or that's the name of the book too.
7 benefits of FIAs.
Yeah, that's actually, Sean was smart by doing that. He actually names the book that too.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And you can find it anywhere. I mean, you can find it on Amazon. You can find it. I don't think it's an ebook yet, or not an ebook, but like Audible yet.
Kindle or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. It might. You know what? It might be, because they can upload Kindle. You can see at the bottom, just released it. I mean, this book just came out.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, you can find it anywhere. But I'm telling you guys, take the time to go through this. And like you said, make yourself smarter. You go through this in a matter. It probably took me about an hour and a half, because I'm kind of an insurance nerd and I like this stuff. So I took my time going through it. But the conversations you'll be able to have with people just by going through this, you're going to sound like an expert, because people don't even know this stuff exists.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fact that you have this page, this knowledge alone, because Tom Hegna is the bomb. I'm connected with him on LinkedIn, and I've actually had a couple conversations with him via LinkedIn and stuff. This guy is a freaking genius when it comes to this stuff. That's all he does.
Cool.
All right. Sorry, guys, I'm rushing. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I can do this. I love doing this. I can do this all day long. So here's the deal. When I sit down and I'm doing all this stuff, and we start going through, once I get through the mortgage protection, the life insurance, the final expense, and we're going back and forth through that, here's a very soft and subtle way to get this information, and you'll get it 100 out of 100. So when I say, why am I here? Most of them will say, well, I just want to get something in place to make sure I'm not a burden on my family, or I had a policy that's getting ready to lapse. Whatever they tell you, you're going to be able to figure out a solution for them, right? That's what we're doing, is we're just solution people. That's it. So when they say that, my next question to them, and I don't care if they say mortgage protection, whatever the case is, who's the person that's going to pick the pieces up when you pass? If it's their husband and wife, that's when I pull this sheet out. It's a natural progression. I'm going to write that name. So if it's If I'm sitting there with Mike and Sharon, I'm going to write Mike and Sharon at the top of that page. But let's say you're with a single person and they say, it's my daughter, Michelle. I'm going to write Michelle, biggest day on top of that, and I'm going to circle it.
Yep.
This is
That's
a very
so good.
soft way, very soft way where you 100 out of 100, you're going to get the name. Here's another thing. 100% you'll get this. What does Michelle do for a living? Now, naturally, when she tells you, write that down too, or memorize it, whatever. I'm pretty good at memorizing it, but writing it down is so much more powerful because if you at the end, if they say they need to think about it, you can now go back through your entire conversation and go back to what's Michelle going to do when you pass away? And if it's the natural course of things, you'll pass before her. I mean, we can have an adult conversation, right? If you pass before her, you filled this form out because you said you didn't want to be a burden. But now you're telling me the difference between you not wanting to be a burden and being a burden is $63 a month.
Wow.
You're probably paying more for your cell phone, right? Your auto insurance, your homeowners, all that other stuff. And when you can position it like that, you're going to make things a lot more powerful. So here's the deal. She said, Michelle, I'm going to write Michelle really big at the top of the page. I'm going to circle it. And then I'm going to go, what's Michelle, just real light, what's Michelle do for a living? And is she still here in St. Louis? Oh, Michelle, yeah, she works for, and I always pick on Dollar General, but she works for Dollar General. Oh, that's awesome. I got all these meeting requests coming up. But here's the deal. If she tells me where she works, if it's Dollar General, McDonald's, and I'm not picking on those places at all. Right. What are they making? $10 an hour?
Can't do it. You can't
Correct. It's impossible. Yeah. And let's say Michelle is single, her daughter's single with 2 kids. If they come back to me at the end and they say, I need to think about it, that's what I'm going to go right back into what I just said a few minutes ago, right? We're talking about $63 a month. You're 73. Sorry, I'm just being honest here. You're 73. You don't have any life insurance in place. This is going to get in more and more expensive every day. And you're 1 or 2 health conditions away from happening to you and not being able to qualify for this at all. Right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to find something that's affordable. We're going to find something that's comfortable for you with a carrier that you can qualify with a premium that you can afford. And then we're going to apply for that carrier. Okay. And I'm looking at them shaking my head. Anything other than okay, I'm getting that objection right out of the way. And guys, I swear to you, if they tell me I'm just looking for quotes and I'm like, I'm not the quote guy. I'm here to make sure your family gets covered because you're 73 and you don't have anything in place right now. And that's why I'm here. That's why you complete the form and you don't want to be a burden on Michelle. That's why I get the beneficiary's name right there on the spot. Yeah. Because then it's an emotional tie to them. It's not me trying to sell them something, right? So very quickly, guys, and then we'll be done, I promise. Once I do that and she tells me she works for Dollar General, I'm going to write Dollar General down there. Okay. No big deal. Okay. They don't know what you're doing. Anything other than we're applying for coverage today after we go through this information, I'm out. I'm really good at running quotes. I practiced it. I don't need any more practice. I don't. So if they tell you, nope, I'm just looking, are you sure? Because I'm not the quote guy. You've been going through this process. We're sitting here. If you're just looking for quotes, that quote is not going to do you any more good. I'm leaving you in a worse spot than I was when I got here because I have the authority from the state that gives me the okay to help you with this stuff. Yeah. If they say just quoting, I'm telling you guys, just leave. You're wasting your time. All right. Good job. So we're going to go through mortgage, rent. You guys can see this. You're common sense. You're smart people. Mortgage, rent. What are your terms? 15, 20, 30. Is it refi? Did you just purchase? What's the value of your home? 400,000. You've been here for 3 years. Great. What's your equity? 100,000. Fantastic. You're going through all this stuff. Occupation, medications, all that kind of stuff. So here's how I do the medical portion. So when I'm going through this, I'm going to say, so here's the deal. We're going to take a couple of questions and go through some very light financial stuff because I don't want them thinking I'm digging in. Very light financial stuff. And then we're going to go through, I'm going to ask you a few medical questions. That helps me determine which of the carriers is going to select you and we can get you approved for. The more accurate the information, because I don't want to say being honest with me, but the more accurate the information you provide to me, the faster this process will be. And like I said, I'll be out of here in 25, 30 minutes. Okay. And I'm shaking my head at them when they say that. And they're going to go, okay. Still doesn't mean they're not going to lie to you, but you guys get it. So when I start asking these questions, I'm looking down at my sheet of paper. And before I start writing, I'm going to go, so if you've ever had any of these things, please let me know that. It's going to make our job much easier. All right. Heart attack, stroke, TIA, cancer, stents, diabetes. And if I say diabetes or whatever, and I look up at them. I always look up at diabetes because, guys, there's so many people that have it. I'll look up at them and I look them right in the face and I go, nothing with diabetes? Really? That's great. And they go, nope. Neuropathy, high blood pressure. And I look up at them again. A very high population of the United States has high blood pressure. No high blood pressure either. And they'll go, nope, it's very, and you see how I changed the pitch of my voice? That's that, international sign of surrender, almost putting your hands up. Like, if you do, it's okay. No high blood pressure either. Wow, that's great. Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma. If I see cigarettes or smell cigarettes, especially if they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and I'll go, anything asthma, COPD, and I look up at them again. You can tell sometimes looking at somebody's face if they're lying to you or not. You can. So then if I'm still getting no's, I'm going to go thyroid, any anti-depression or depression medication. That's the fourth time I look at them because I want to gain eye contact and I continue to want to build trust with them. Now, anxiety and depression has gone up because of, guess what? COVID. So those main 4 or 5 things is when I'm going to look up at them, give them the kind of international sign of surrender. And guys, to be honest, I'm an actor when I'm in there. I literally will slump my shoulders down and all this kind of stuff so they feel like they're in a power position. So they give me the accurate information up front so I can complete the application with the right carrier the first time. Now, here's what's key, and I'm gonna let you guys go after this. When I get to these last 2 questions, they've told me no across the board, which is great. I'm gonna say kidney or liver disease, or, and you might wanna write this down, anything that I did not ask. Because this encompasses the major stuff, but they could have some type. Now, I've done this before and said, or anything that I haven't asked. And if they've said nothing across the board, then I'll kind of sit back up, look at them, what I'm saying, gain my composure again. And now I'm back in control. And I'll say anything I did not ask. They'll go, well, 8 years ago, it wasn't cancer, but it was kind of cancer. Well, I know that most of the carriers, if it's outside of 3-4 years with cancer, they're good. So I'll still go, well, explain to me what happened with that. Well, I went through the stuff. They did make me do, I did, pill, I did localized radiation or whatever the case is. And I haven't had any issues since. I go back to the doctor once a year and get checked out. So there's some keys in there, right? They technically had cancer. They didn't. It's been 3, 4, 5 years ago. So we're good there. But I can use that later on with not only Michelle, but, Mr. Smith, have you thought about if cancer comes back? And do you think any insurance company would write you if cancer reoccurs? Now, am I scaring the crap out of them? Maybe. Is it true that it could come back? Yeah, they had it once. Yeah. And then I just asked the final questions down there. Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? And this is the annuity part. 401k, stocks, bonds, IRAs, mutual funds, CDs, any significant savings over, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. They'll say yes or no. Then that allows us to do what we call a BAM, book a meeting from a meeting to talk to them about the annuity stuff. And if you're not set up with the annuities and they go, yes, I'd like to find out more about that, then you're going to scurry back to us and go, oh crap, what do I do? And we'll help you through it. You'll be certified to sell annuities within a week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let me come off of here. I know that was a lot, you guys, but I'm telling you, you guys are going to be so much further ahead than some of your colleagues that don't attend these things. Again, we do them. I used to do them every Saturday. I do them every other, just to make sure that people have what they need. Let me give you guys this number. I hope you have this number. If you don't, it's the Velocity in-home helpline. And what they do on that line is it's 20 agents that are doing 20,000 or more, 20,000 or more per month. And what happens is if you go into a home, you can't figure out which carrier to place them with. You're going to pick up the phone. You're going to call your business partner. If for some reason they don't answer, then you can call this 800 number. The number is 800 304 6235. 800 304 6235. And again, that is the Velocity in-home helpline. Any more questions?
No, this is
No.
amazing. This is great.
Yeah,
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime, guys. I appreciate you guys spending your Saturday morning with me. Again, we'll have one not this Saturday, but the following. I just want to make sure you guys get what you need, and we'll give you guys what we promised, was as much support as we can. So you guys need me for anything, you got my number. And take care, be safe out there, and bye for now.
All right, you too, man. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. You're very welcome, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.